What's the worst thing about live sports? When matches get cancelled. It happens all the time, sometimes because of bad weather, sometimes because of security scares. But in Iran, a match has been called off because of a statue, a bust rather. The match was supposed to be a big deal. Saudi club Al-Ittihad was taking on Iranian club Sepahan. They were playing in the Iranian city of Isfahan. At least they were supposed to play. But the Saudi club refused to leave their dressing room. Why? Because of this bust. That's Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani. He headed the Iranian Quds force. He's a bit of a legend in the country. Because Soleimani was the ultimate spy master, he handled all the Iranian proxies, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and the Hamas in Gaza. But for the US and its allies, he was a threat. Washington designated Qasem Soleimani as a terrorist in 2018, and 2 years later, they killed him. His vehicle was hit by an airstrike in Baghdad. Iranians were enraged. Thousands of them marched with portraits of Soleimani. They also called for revenge, but nothing happened. Tehran attacked a US base in neighboring Iraq, but the damage was negligible. So Soleimani's death is unfinished business for Iran. But where does Saudi Arabia come in? Well, Riyadh was no fan of his. Soleimani's proxies had also attacked their oil shipments. They even targeted cities and refineries. So the Saudi press was pretty happy when he died. They didn't kill him, but they did not complain. Back to match day now. Why did Iran install these statues ahead of the game? Tehran says they did not, and they claim that the busts were always there, that the Saudi team had even practiced in front of these statues. Either way, it sums up relations between the two countries, precarious at best. You see, Iran and Saudi Arabia are regional rivals. They have their own Cold War going on. Saudi Arabia is the Sunni power, Iran is the Shia power. Things escalated in 2016. That is when Iranian militants attacked the Saudi embassy in Tehran. Soon normal relations were cut off. But earlier this year, there were some positive signs. Iran and Saudi Arabia signed a normalization deal. It was negotiated by China. They also reopened embassies after a gap of 7 years. Many called it a reset. In fact, that deal paved the way for this match. After 2016, Saudi and Iranian clubs played at neutral venues, no home or away games. But this year, they agreed to host each other. Saudi club Al-Nassr was the first to play in Iran. Their talisman, Cristiano Ronaldo, was part of the squad. The fans were expecting more action on Monday. Around 60,000 of them had packed into the Isfahan stadium. What they got was disappointment. Many of them chanted, "Keep politics out of sports." I'm afraid it's not that easy, certainly not in West Asia. You can make all the progress you want to, but all it takes is one wrong move. The Saudi-Iran relationship is a perfect example of that. After the normalization deal, they made some good progress. Houthi rebels visited Saudi Arabia last month. On the agenda was a ceasefire in Yemen. Riyadh said the talks were good. They also extended an invite to Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, and Raisi said he welcomes the invite. His government is also considering proposals to expand cooperation with the Saudis. And one of them is cancelling visas. Can you imagine that? Visa-free travel between Saudi Arabia and Iran. It sounds like the perfect reset. But differences remain, and one of them is Israel. Saudi Arabia is inching closer to recognizing Israel. On Monday, an Israeli delegation traveled to Saudi Arabia. It was headed by their communication minister. Last week, another Israeli minister traveled to Saudi Arabia. So recognition is coming. It's not a question of when. No, it's a question of when rather, and not if. But Iran is not happy about that. Their president blasted Riyadh for moving closer to Israel. He called it regressive and reactionary. And don't mistake this for activism. This is pure political thinking. Why do you think Arab nations are recognizing Israel? Economic gains are just a part of it. The bigger objective is to isolate Iran, or to contain it at the very least. To create a broad West Asian alliance against Tehran. And Saudi Arabia is doing the same. Reports say they're asking for a military deal with the US, sort of like NATO. They want Washington to defend the kingdom if attacked. Who do you think that deal is aimed at? Again, Iran. So the Saudi-Iran reset faces multiple challenges. Their current détente is a convenient one. one that enables them to regroup and strategize, not one that buries old differences.